Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. For those who do celebrate this holiday, I hope you're having a great time with family and friends and just stuffing yourself with incredible food. For those who don't, I hope you're still having a chill and awesome day. You know who is having an incredible Thanksgiving, though? Nintendo, because my God, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, despite all of its woes, it sold incredibly well, which is not surprising at all. So we all know that it is the lowest Metascore of a mainline Pokemon entry, and the user score is still looking pretty rough. Lots of complaints surrounding its graphics, its performance, and its just general technical state with myriad bugs and glitches that just interfere with a game that really does take the gameplay and the game design and the formula in the right direction with some of the evolutions that they've made. For those who want just the general rundown of the kinds of bugs and glitches and hilarity you can expect from this game, I already made 2 videos on this. This one right here, titled Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Mass Ridicule Due to Rough Graphics, Poor Performance, and Disruptive Bugs. We'll have all of these links. The Twitter ones in particular will take you to the myriad bugs that I've compiled. And then right here we have a second video where you'll find footage of, this is actually from a family member of mine who encountered this bug. But below that, you'll find the title of this video, Pokemon Ridiculed Even More as Scarlet and Violet Bugs Go Viral. Fans get Nintendo to issue refund. You'll find plenty of sources of more clips featuring bugs and glitches that, again, hilarious to behold, but they happen enough that it can disrupt the experience and it can bring about the feeling of, man, imagine if the development team had been given another year to actually, finish this game. Now, for those who are really having trouble getting over the performance issues, there's this Twitter post right here who discovered that apparently if you take Pokemon Scarlet or Violet from the SD card memory and transfer it over to system memory, it runs way more consistently, like as in the places that used to be a slideshow are now just fine. What? So that might be a potential solution. I haven't tested this myself, but something to put out there just in case it helps folks. With all that out of the way, let's take a look at just how well Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold. Twitter user Benji Sales summed it up pretty well right here. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold an unbelievable 10 plus million units in 3 days, including 4 plus million from Japan alone. Keep in mind that this is just a Nintendo Switch only exclusive. It's not on any other platform. It's not multi-platform. It is a first-party exclusive, and it sold a whopping 10 plus million units in just 3 days. Not its launch week, 3 days. And then here are more bullet points that further highlight the magnitude of these sales. Biggest Pokemon launch ever. Biggest Switch launch ever. Biggest Nintendo launch as a company ever. And finally, biggest console exclusive launch of all time. Benji continues in a follow-up tweet, there has never been a game ever released for any platform as an exclusive that has sold more than this. We're literally looking at the biggest exclusive launch of all time. Utter insanity. It was just a few days back that PlayStation celebrated God of War Ragnarok being the fastest selling first-party launch game in PlayStation history. And this game definitely saw some impressive sales. You can see right here, 5.1 million copies sold through as of its debut week. Fastest selling first-party launch for PlayStation and the best-selling God of War in franchise history. But Pokemon sold twice the numbers that God of War Ragnarok did in 3 days. God of War Ragnarok took a week to sell 5.1 million. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet took 3 days to sell roughly twice that. In Japan, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet eclipsed every other game by miles in its launch week. 96% of Japan's top 10 physical game sales this week were Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The new entry outsold the rest of the combined titles 26 times over. As in, even if you pull together the sales of the 2nd to 10th best-selling games that week, that combined number still cannot touch what Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold. And you can see right here that Pokemon's launch had the ripple effect of hardware sales for Nintendo skyrocketing with, in Japan, Nintendo Switch OLED selling 102,605 units, Nintendo Switch Lite selling 40,432 units, and Nintendo Switch OG selling 27,656 units that week. To put this in even more perspective, Twitter user Rogers Base highlighted that in 3 days, Scarlet and Violet surpassed the lifetime sales of Ultra Sun / Moon and the entirety of Wii U's library. As in, if you look at the top-selling Wii U games of all time, none of them have surpassed 10 million units. In fact, the best-selling Wii U game was Mario Kart 8 at 8.46 million units. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet surpassed the best-selling game on Wii U in its lifetime in just 3 days. Obviously, there's been plenty of criticism surrounding this latest release, and for good reason, but did I think those criticisms would stop this game from being a bestseller? No. Even though this does have the lowest Metascore in a mainline entry, even though the user score is the worst Pokemon has seen, even though the technical state of this game is the worst in the series, I still suspected that based on the evolution of the gameplay and what they've shown through marketing, that this game would still be an incredible bestseller. And for better or for worse, that's exactly what happened. Pokemon is just one of those franchises that's too big to fail. I mean, we look at FIFA and how they basically release the same game over and over again, year after year, resetting the microtransactions and monetization elements clean to make people re-gamble for all of the player cards all over again, and how well each new FIFA entry sells, and how each new entry seems to surpass the record of the previous. And you realize that some brands, some IP, some franchises are just too big as a culture for it to be able to perform poorly, which is why companies like EA and entities like Nintendo, Game Freak, and whatnot are able to get away with rushing these games to launch, realizing that, hey, at the end of the day, you know, the financial books are going to look good, we're going to look great in the eyes of investors, and ultimately it's not going to make a huge dent the mass amount of criticism online. Now, I'm not saying that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are anywhere close to as egregious as the FIFA game launches. Scarlet and Violet, in terms of gameplay, game design, and formula, do feel like a substantial evolution from past entries, and they do feel like new games, whereas FIFA releases feel like recycled versions of broken titles. And mainline Pokemon entries don't release on an annualized schedule. They do release every 3 years or so, though with each new entry, the 3-year development cycle is proving to be not enough, especially as Pokemon games get more and more ambitious in their scope and scale and gameplay ambitions. But it is in the territory of Pokemon has existed for such a long time, and it is just such a cultural phenomenon across the world that, even with a broken launch, even if word spreads through reviews that the technical state of this game is the worst and it's unacceptable in many areas, people will still ultimately buy it and try it. And if anything, the memes that have been spreading online on how janky Pokemon Violet and Scarlet are, that's probably on some level just increased the attention towards these games. And at the end of the day, look, at its center, at its core, Scarlet and Violet are fun. People are still celebrating this as the most fun Pokemon gameplay has been in a very long time. People are still celebrating the fact that Pokemon finally feels like it's made a significant leap in its game design. But it doesn't change the fact that it's disappointing that the full potential of this game couldn't be realized, that there was clearly a home run here that could have been achieved had development been given more time, had this game not clearly been rushed to launch. And had it been in the hands of a development team that knows how to handle this kind of open world game better, I think part of it has to do with Game Freak's inexperience with this more sort of expansive format of Pokemon games that they're still getting acclimated to. Hopefully over time in the coming years, we'll see them do better on that front. And hopefully the negative impact on PR and on Pokemon's reputation, on Nintendo's reputation, and on Game Freak's reputation that the sort of embarrassing launch of this game and all the memes and the fun that people have been having at the expense of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, hopefully all of that will wake up Nintendo and Game Freak, and it'll make them reevaluate the way they develop these games and launch these games. Hopefully they'll understand that people do value quality. Hopefully they won't just look at the incredible sales and go, we're going to stick to how we do things now, and we're going to continue to release broken games. Hopefully they have some pride as game developers and game publishers and will take this opportunity to learn some lessons, evaluate what went wrong, and really hit a home run with the next entry with technical refinements and graphics fidelity that do the art style justice and great performance that will match the great gameplay formula and gameplay evolutions that they've managed to achieve with Scarlet and Violet. That's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed for, but I guess only time will tell. This is one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the massively successful commercial performance of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and what your experience has been like playing these games. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.